Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. Before we start, I just wanted to say real quick, if you like what I do or you like the performances I put up, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Clearly, definitely helps the channel, helps me reach more people, helps me pursue this a little further. So if you haven't already, please consider doing so. All right, let's get on to it. So, welcome to leader versus, oh, that got flipped around somehow. That's weird. Sorry about that. Let me fix that. There we go. What happened here? I must have a different one. Oh, main 2. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. All right, on to it. So today on Leader Versus, we are featuring the Elektron Syntakt. I'm going to go over this really quick. I realize I think I talk too long most of the times about the synthesizer. I really want to focus on just making some sounds with it. But just to give you a brief overview, it's a bit of an oddball when it comes to Elektron gear. It's, in my opinion, and I think this is fairly well backed up, but it is kind of a mishmash of two synthesizers. It is the digital side. It is a digital and analog system, so it has a little bit of both. The digital side seems to be very similar to what you can find in the modal cycles, but definitely beefed up more options, more parameters, but some of the fundamental sounds are there. When you get to the analog side, very similar to their Analog RYTM, which is their main drum machine product, you do get several of the voices and similar machines in the analog side. So you get 8 tracks of the digital, you get 4 tracks of the analog. This particular one here is actually limited to a cymbal type analog machine, or a couple different machines in that branch, but it's not capable. These 3 are capable of pretty much everything but the cymbals, where this one only does the cymbals. So yeah, very interesting machine. Definitely a different kind of product. When I was really into, I still am very much into Elektron, but when I was getting into it, this one popped up, and I thought at first, I was like, I don't think I'll need that one, but of course, I eventually did. So anyways, very cool machine. If you're not familiar with Elektron, I highly recommend you do so, because they are fantastic synthesizer groovebox manufacturers. One thing I do want to note is, synthesis-wise, most of their machines, not all of them, but most of their machines follow this machine policy. And a machine is essentially like a curated list of parameters designed for specific types of sounds. For example, you can have a machine that's built for making kick drums. You have a machine that's built for making snares, a couple different machines. You have ones for claps, you have ones for hi-hats, various synth engines, and then of course the analog side, which has a couple of fun ones we'll go over. But that's it in a nutshell. It is prior to their kind of new expanded sequencers, so this one is stuck, unfortunately, with the 64 steps. You can increase that with scales, but it doesn't actually give you more steps to manipulate, but extends the patterns in a way. So it is kind of basically on the cusp of being a modern Elektron, but still sort of held back with some of the older machines. I really do hope they do some updates on it. I particularly wish they would do something in terms of like having a compressor on the main channel. One thing they did on this guy that was really cool is they created an effects channel where you can send everything into an analog effects, which includes a filter, a drive, and just some kind of basic modulation. You get the 2 LFOs and the amp stage, as well as the filter stage with ASDR envelopes per each of those. So that was a really cool addition, but missing the compressor honestly kind of tampers it a little bit. There are some ways around getting cool stuff going on, like sidechain and stuff like that. You can still make it work. It's more work in my opinion. Some people do prefer it that way, actually, I see online. I don't. I really love having a compressor, even just to operate as a normal compressor, just to kind of glue everything together. It would be nice. Anyway, let's get on to it. So we're going to start here with the first machine that you're going to find. You like I mentioned before, you're going to have some digital and analog, so you actually do have some crossover here. So we've got bass drum digital, we got a bass drum analog. So we're going to start with just the digital machines here to kind of go through some of them. I don't know if we're going to make it through all of them. We may build a song to some degree. That's not really my focus. What I really want to do is try to get as many machines as we can and make some presets. We'll save those and do something really cool if we have time, which is one of the hallmarks of the sequencer, and that is the idea of using what's called sound locks. If you have a track that is capable of holding, say it's capable of holding 6 different machines. you can create a preset using any of those machines and any set of parameters, effects, all that kind of stuff. Well, not effects technically, because most of those are send. But, you know, like modulations, anything you can do on a single track by itself, you can save it as a preset, and you can recall that within the sequencer. No matter what is on this track, I can recall any of those presets that would work on this track per step. Meaning I could have this bass sound, this hi-hat, this snare, this clap, and this hi-hat all existing on one track. They can only occupy one sound per step, but if you think you could have basically that sound, that happened right there, boom, 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 pop, boom, boom, on one track, because you could employ sound locks. So anyways, let's get on to it. I also brought up my iPad here. You can't see it's off screen, but I figured instead of just guessing and figuring out as I go along, we're actually going to talk about what each one of these parameters are supposed to do, and then we'll play with them a little bit. So some of them are very self-explanatory. I don't really need anything from a manual. That's what I meant when I said the iPad, by the way. We have the Syntakt manual, which is highly recommended to read if you own it. If you're not reading the manual, RTFM, then you are missing out. So, yeah, obviously some of these are very self-explanatory. So, for example, tune, you know, we don't need a blurb about that. The sweep, normally I would say is pretty explanatory, but it actually does something a little bit different. And you can kind of see, as I turn it up, it's changing a little bit. They've combined, I'm going to read what they say, pitch sweep sets the depth and the time of the pitch sweep. So they've actually combined the two parameters into one, which is interesting. In my head, I could feel like logically I might want them separate to get some different kind of stuff going on, but maybe they are very smart and they've designed it so you really just need this for a kick drum the way it's set up. And it seems to work fine, so. And give it a nice little, it's getting kind of 808 there. Punch adds a compressor-like envelope which accentuates and distorts the sound. So, big tonal change. It's not so drastic, in my opinion, on snares and such, where you have already some of that buildup of noise and kind of heavy harmonics, but clearly quite heavy here. I'm going to keep it off for now. The decay here sets the length of the decay phase of the machine's internal amp envelope. So you can just simple decay. That's all it is. And as somebody kindly recommended to me, because they probably heard of one of my songs where I had the decay way too long, it's preferable to not necessarily, in most music, to not have too long of a decay of the bass, because you're just creating a lot of mud. Sometimes it really sounds good, in my opinion, but I'm realizing I have some audio issues in my studio that are not representing how much bass energy is there, and I have to basically go out into my car and listen to how much bass it is and come back and kind of remember. You get the room you get. My room's not perfect for mixing music, unfortunately, but all right. Square modulation. So this is, I think it's just square modulation. Yeah, okay. Square mod sets the amount of square-like modulation. We also have a triangle mod. Oops, sorry, went to the wrong one. And we have the modulation envelope. So you can hear. That's pretty fat. I think I'll just add a little bit in there. Maybe back the decay down. It's hard with the bass drum for me because I like a lot of boom with the bass drum, but you go to mix later and you're like, oh man, that's way too much. Especially when you start adding like a heavier bass line. It can all just kind of get in there. Overdrive, pretty self-explanatory too. That's basically, I'll read what they say. Sets the gain amount of the digital overdrive. Okay, so, and this is obviously pre-filter. And that really is our main parameters just for this particular machine. You still, of course, get your filter, which you do get two filters on the digital, which is really nice. You get a standard multi-mode, which is going to give you your low pass, high pass, band pass, all that kind of stuff. So I generally do a low pass, but sometimes I'll use this high pass with a little bit of resonance right, and put the cutoff right about where I want most of the energy of that bass kick drum to be. And you can make it thump. not as much needed on the Syntakt, but I always found I have a Analog 4 MK1, another Elektron synth. And the first one, which is the one I have, they sort of kind of admitted that the bass frequency was a little on the weak side, I guess, because they tweaked it, so to speak, on the analog keys, which is fundamentally the very same synthesizer, but in a keyboard version. But they do claim to have tweaked the EQ on that a little bit somehow. I don't know. And then in the MK2 version, supposedly it's even deeper and more beefy. I still love my MK1, but I would love to get my hands on an MK2 one day to hear the difference. So let's go ahead and do the low pass. The thing about the low pass is this kick doesn't have a whole lot in the upper register. So it's not, oops, not my first choice. You don't get any stages here. You're basically getting a low pass. I think it is a 12. Sounds like a 12 stage. Okay, let's come back here and turn the tune down. Bring our decay back just a little bit. So I actually like the way that sounds, and you can always, which I'm going to do, I'm going to come over to the amp stage, and I'm actually going to mess with the decay there. So I actually like the way it's sounding right now, but I want the decay to be less. But if I shorten it, I notice on that decay there, it seems to change some of the tone. So if I come here, you do get the option, if you hit this again, you get a secondary mode, which lets you do some kind of behind the scenes settings. And if you can see mode here, you can switch it to an ADSR envelope, which is kind of more of a traditional synth, but the AHD, which is attack, hold, decay, is actually pretty great for drum sounds. So you basically are holding the envelope for a little bit and then entering the decay stage. So it kind of gives you all that punch in the beginning, and then you can basically take out some of that ending, which I really like. So that's not bad. I'm okay with this. Okay, so we're gonna go, and honestly with this one, this is the only digital bass engine. So we go to function machine, which is function SYN here. You can see machine underneath. This takes you into the machine selection menu, and depending on where you're at, whether you're in the digital area or whether you're in the analog area, you've got a limited amount of machines. So obviously we're in the digital, so we're not going to be able to put analog machines on this top row. But you can see, just to go through them real quick, BD Modern, bass drum modern, that's what we're working with now. You have a snare drum basic, a snare drum vintage. You have a PC Carbon, which is PC, I assume, is for percussion. CP, which is clap. You have a vintage version. You have the CY Alloy, which is their cymbals. I definitely wish they would come out with more cymbal engines. One is not enough. And then you get these cool ones. These are their synth engines. This is bits, chord, and tone. We'll talk about, oh, and toy, sorry. Oh, and swarm. I missed two of them. Okay, so we have 5. Bits, chord, tone, toy, swarm. We'll go over all those. And then the other thing is all of these channels can act as MIDI. So you can engage a MIDI machine if you just want to use some external sequencing options. Okay, boom, 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 to our snare. Pretty basic snare. So we've got some pretty wonky, funky kick drums, so that snare's definitely not going to cut. So let's actually go and try basic first. Surprisingly, I think that one's going to be a little bit better for us. So let's go to our list here. So tune, we know what that does. Sweep, same exact thing. It's gonna, as the kick, it's going to do the pitch depth and the pitch time in one. Punch, same thing. Decay, same thing. So INHM, this stands for, let me see if I can say this, inharmon. Oh my God, why is that so hard to say? Inharmonicity. And they state sets the ratio of the operators. So we are going to see here in a moment what that means. You got the modulation and feedback. This sets the amount of the modulation and feedback. Modulation envelope sets the decay and the depth of the modulation envelope, and of course finish it off with some overdrive. So they mentioned the operators. Generally that's a term I'm familiar with when it comes to FM. Pretty confident this is the same. But it's not giving us the full FM, adjusting the algorithm of the way the modulators go to the operators, all that. I mean, the modulators go to the carriers and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very simplistic thing. So we're just gonna have to hear what it does because we really don't have much to go off. So there you go. That's just a little. I mean, what you would consider that, like a metal can, bringing in the noise. So as much as they call it inharmonicity, I would say it's almost to my ears just a mix between the body of the snare and the what do they call that little, the thing that makes the noise. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like this kind of it's like a metal chains almost underneath that make it kind of the harsh, noisy sound. There's a name for it. I can't think of what it is, but yeah, it kind of sounds like you're mixing between those two. Okay, so definitely going to mess with the tune because that thing's too high to me. Very, okay sound. Oh, I am so sorry. I was messing with the modulation feedback. That's what was giving us that difference between the noise and the body. So this is the inharmonicity. So it's kind of just controlling, to me, what it sounds like. It's kind of making it more of a bell sound, if that makes sense. More of like, it's inharmonic, it's just kind of giving us a generic, you're not hearing a fundamental note as much, where if I mean, it's there still, but it's not as noticeable. I don't feel like the pitch of this sound like this wouldn't clash with something that was a half step away from it, where that would. Okay. Bringing the tune down a little bit. I like a beefier snare, and even still, this one's still a little high for me, but okay, I'm bringing in some modulation envelope. Really nice sweet spot in the middle there. Okay, decay does what I thought it would do. Let's try some punch on this, where I honestly, at least when it comes to the Elektron modal cycles, which to me has similar sounds to this, the punch makes a huge difference on snares. It's actually much more subtle than I thought it was going to be. Wow. I was barely there. Well, now I sound like a fool. Thanks, Syntakt. Still feel like I need to mute some of that body, or let's see if I can shorten. What I wish I could do here, which I don't think I can, I like it when you get the option to control how long the body decays and how long the snare. Man, please, if anybody out there knows, well, nobody's watching, so if anybody feels like chiming in or letting me know, I can't remember. It's like the sizzle, or I don't know. But anyways, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. I'm going to go ahead and try to use both filters here. I'm going to use the low pass just to take out some of these harmonics, but after a little while. What I mean by that is I'm going to engage the envelope here. I want it to be bright initially and then mute a little bit after a period of time. That's pretty natural in the acoustic instrument world. When you strike something hard or quickly, you're going to get the bright sound because all those vibrations are happening instantaneously. But then when you let it decay, those harmonics from those vibrations are going to decay too, and it's going to get more dark sounding. Right now it's not really doing it that much, but if I do this, so you can really hear an extreme version of it here. If I shorten the decay, bring this down, now lengthen the decay, you can hear how it's brighter a little bit longer. I'm not going to go that far down with the cutoff, nor the decay. Okay. I don't think we actually need to, but normally I high pass filter the up the snare just to keep it away from the kick drum. But I'm not hearing much conflict there, so we'll leave it for now. It's nice to come back later and address that if we need to. Maybe a little bit of reverb on the snare, which we haven't set yet. So I'm going to actually go to the reverb real quick, because the first thing I almost always do on my reverb is I bring up the filter, or the EQ, or whatever you're going to call it. Basically, I'm saying, hey, anything below, you know, it's giving me just a range between 127, so I'm guessing, but let's say 50 is probably 400 hertz, I think. I don't know, I'm total guess here. But anything below that doesn't pass through the reverb. So, for example, you got a big old boomy kick. Maybe you want to get a little bit of reverb on there, but if you don't have any EQ before that reverb, you're going to get that whole kick is going to come in and just make a big boom. And all of that frequency, low and high, is going to go through the reverb. We don't want that. I don't want that, at least. Not for this. It creates a lot of mud. Could be very useful if you're doing something particular, but most times you're going to get rid of that, and therefore you can have aspects of that kick drum, the higher frequency points, still pass through the reverb, give it some space, but not create the mud. So listen to this. Versus. So I'm going to bring the decay back a little bit. We'll put this here. I'm actually going to go real quick back to the kick drum and do a little reverb on this too. I really want to show you here what we get. So what am I at? 66.26. Okay. Well, this is a bandpass filter here, so you got to make sure you don't bring the low pass down. Hear all that reverb energy? Now listen. So you're still giving a little space to the kick drum, but you're not taking up all that low end with that extended reverb tail. So let's bring the decay down a little bit. Pre is basically pre-delay. The idea behind that is that certain amount of the sound will happen before the reverb kicks in. Also, similar kind of concept where basically when you strike something really hard, you don't necessarily want all the energy of that sound going into the reverb, because it's going to make a big, huge wall of sound. Kind of getting some cool stuff going on there. Man, I've never P-locked this, but I'm gonna now. 20 is usually a pretty good setting to start off with, and I think we're okay with that for now. This is the frequency. It's similar, but this is essentially post this filter. It's going to allow us to make it brighter. You're not going to hear much on this guy right now because the kick drum doesn't have a whole lot of higher frequency. We're just going to leave that there for now. Okay. You know what? No. I'm going to come back and we're going to try the other machine because I feel like that is just not getting it to me. So let's try. You know what? Here. Good process here. So I'm going to take the filter or the reverb down. We did not mess with the LFOs, and I think that's necessary because I feel like it's just too static. So let's give it a little something. Maybe we can mess with the pitch sweep. No, let's do that mod feedback. So you can hear pretty drastic. Usually when I'm messing with percussion, I'm going to do something fairly subtle, unless I'm going for something really intense. I'm going to go with a nice high. 16 is probably good for starting off. So I have a 16 BPM, which is effectively saying forget the speed for a second, but if you have a 16 set on this, the idea is that every step in this right now is set to being a 16th note. This will complete a cycle in that time. Trig, very important, and they've done a fantastic job. You get a couple of different options here. Free, which means that LFO is just kind of doing its thing. You're just checking in once in a while, but it's like, hey, I'm good, leave me alone. Trig means every time you hit a new trig comes in, the LFO is going to start from the very beginning. So no matter where it is, boom, it's going to start at that beginning every time. trig. Let's see what free trig hold. This is my favorite thing, and I don't see this pretty much anywhere else, and I'm so happy with Elektron for doing it. This mode, it basically takes wherever the LFO is at that time and holds it. And what that means, well, let me put it this way. This is what I use it for most often. I'm going to change the waveform. You do get a nice array of waveforms. You get a triangle, a sine, you get a square, which is, of course, pulse modulation capable. You get a triangle, a sawtooth, and then you get this, what they call the exponential, which is a very handy one. Kind of like almost like a very simple attack release sort of envelope. But the ramp, you can kind of see what it's trying to say it does there. And here it is, random. With the random, I really love this. This is what I like to do. So I take the random waveform, the sample and hold, and I set my speed and BPM here to a reasonable amount. This is fine where it is. And I don't put a lot of depth on here, but I'm going to put a lot just so you can hear what's going on. But the idea is this random waveform is going to give you a parameter at that point in time, whatever it is. Whenever I trig this, it's going to be something. It's going to be between 0 and 127. Pretty standard MIDI. But what this is going to do, it's going to sample that, and it's going to hold that parameter until you get the next trig, the next reference point from this LFO, from that sample and hold. And the idea here we're talking is that, imagine this, you're playing a snare, and you're playing it, right? You're a human being. You're not a robot. Every single time you hit that snare, it is arguably slightly different. Maybe you don't hear it every time, or maybe it's very, very subtle. If you're a really good drummer, you might be able to get very, very consistent, but you're a human being. You're not going to hit it perfectly every time. What I like to do here is I keep the depth. Here, I'm going to do it long just so you can hear it. You hear it sounding significantly different. Not every time, most times. And what it's doing is it's basically referencing that randomness, the random parameter it's getting. Once it gets it, it holds it. And that's the parameter of which this destination is set. So if I take it here and I do very little depth, so we're only getting a small variation, let's say 4. That's close enough. Now listen. Not much of a change, so I'm going to come up a little higher. Can you hear it now? It's very slight. It's very little bit, but sometimes you're getting a little more of the body, sometimes you're getting a little more of the sizzle. And to me, that is glorious. It gives you the ability to make relatively, or maybe really, in my opinion, realistic sounding drums. I don't always use it on kicks because we're talking electronic music. Kicks are kind of a place where you keep things consistent most times. I do use it on snares sometimes. I almost always use it on hi-hats because I personally don't care for, most times, machine gun hi-hats. Kind of drives me crazy. If it's a song that's for it, acid, sure, makes sense. But if you're doing something that's got a little more liveliness, but you've got these machine gun hi-hats in the background, it kind of grates me. So you can hear a slight bit of change. I'm going to come over and do that same thing to the decay. Synth decay, just a hair. This one I go a little bit less because it's much more prevalent. All the way over to sample and hold. We're going to set our mode to hold. I didn't get to all these. I should mention you have a one shot. Kind of turns your LFO into an envelope of sorts. And you have a half shot, which basically does the same thing, but it only references the high point of an LFO. If you think about what an LFO stands for, low frequency oscillator, you essentially see something on a graph and you're going above and you're going down. This is a sine wave, right? And you're coming back and forth across what's called the zero crossing. The idea is it's bipolar, meaning it can increase a parameter and it can decrease a parameter. If you only want a one shot that only uses the top half of that, so basically you're not coming into the negative, you would use the one shot. The half shot is what I call it. What's cool about it too is you're not just stuck using the top half. You can switch through the depth knob by setting that negative. You can actually just use the bottom half. So you get some flexibility there, but the idea is you're only using essentially half of the waveform of the LFO. All right, so let's go back to hold. We're going to increase this to 16, and we're going to set decay. We're going to do, let's do a lot just to hear what we get. Too much. I'm going to set this to about 2.5, 2.5. Obviously, we don't have a whole lot of variation going there, but once we start adding some velocity, which we do have velocity modulation on here, which we'll get to. But once you start adding velocity with these slight, subtle LFO changes, you're going to get some pretty nice sounding drums. All right, so let's go ahead and save this one. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the track. I'm going to hold function. I'm going to go right here, which says sound is the secondary. Go down to save sound. I'm going to pick an empty slot. This one's fine, 253. C. Hit yes. Name it. Let's call this... let's call this YT2 snare. The name of the project is YouTube 2, YT2. And I do try to keep them consistent. Snare. We're going to just call it SN1. Save myself a little time. Hit yes. We're going to use the categories here to make sure we mark it as a... snare went right past it. There's plenty of other things you could mention to it. Maybe I will put bright, because it is definitely a bright, lighter sounding snare. Save. Boom, it's done. Now, what else you can do, it's a little different on the older Elektron devices. You put it in what's called the, what is it called? The track... sound pool. I think that's how you do it in this one too. It's been a little while since I've done it. So let's see. Let's get out of here. If I come here, hit a track, hold this, and then turn this. So I do need to, okay. I need to come back. I need to go back in and actually send this. Oh, I think I have to go into the sound manager now. And if I'm highlight that sound that I just saved, I go to the right, it brings me into the side menu. I think if I go to the left, I get a filtering options, yep, and the view of the pool. That's what we're going to assign this to, the sound pool as they call it. If I go to the right arrow, click over, I get these other options here, and we see a bunch of things. Load to track, if I want to overwrite what's currently here. I don't need to do that already, but I can copy to, these are all the other things you can see what they say. We're not going to worry about it right now, but copy to sound pool. Boom. So now, if I come here, put a key on, a trig, I'm sorry, hold it down and turn this knob, there it is, YT. So let me show you a little demonstration here. So we know this one already has the sound built in because it's the track sound, but say I want to do this. Oops, let's go to this track and get rid of that. So right now I've just got one track going. But what if I hold these two, twist this knob, boom. Got a kick and a snare. Boom. So a basic beat, obviously, but the beauty of it is it's all on one track, leaving me 11 tracks to keep going. All right, we're going to take that out of there because we don't need that. But I am going to save that for later, but we're going to switch this. Now that we have that sound saved, I don't have to keep the track sound here because I can bring it in through the sound pool anytime I want. So if I come here, function machine, I'm going to go to vintage. All right, let's go ahead and add snare here. Okay, this is already more my feel. It's kind of this muted, kind of almost lo-fi sound to it. So let's talk about the vintage snare. So we can skip the tune. We know what the sweep does. It's a combination of amount of sweep of the fun. Oh no, it's different this time. Let me go back here and make sure it sets the depth and time of the pitch. This says pitch sweep sets the amount of sweep of the fundamental pitch frequency. Okay. Yeah, it's different. I think. Okay, punch is going to be the same. Let's hear it. Off, on. I feel like this one's much more, I can definitely hear it more. It's got more of a, it really boosts that transient. I like it. I'm going to keep it. Decay is going to do, unfortunately, both the snare, I'm sorry, the body and the sizzle. Ooh, that's kind of a cool sound. Okay, we have, again, inharmonicity. Sets the ratio of the operators. So this is clear in FM engine. Wow, I'm hearing very little, but maybe we need to engage this frequency complexity parameter. Sets the character of the strength of the snare modes. I mean, it effectively sounds similar how the other machine basically, you know, vacillates between the body and more of that sizzle. I must have some reverb on there. Oh, yep, I did. The inharmonicity just seems to brighten things up a little bit. Oh, I guess. Very subtle, extremely subtle. Yeah. Now I'm messing with the modulation envelope. I'm also not hearing much difference on that. Interesting. I like the snare though, it's got a clap essence to it. Definitely punchier. I feel like the punch knob made a big difference too on this one. Oh, we still have the, I'm so sorry. I changed the machine, but most of the parameters, well, really all the parameters stick to the same values. So the filter I had set for the other machine is still there. Okay, big difference. Let's go back real quick. Yeah, that just, it's very subtle, a little brightness. No, not much going on there, in my opinion. So I'm going to bring that back a little bit. I think that actually sounds really good. Because as we did in the other snare, it's bright at first, but it immediately starts getting dark because of the envelope tied to the frequency of the filter. So we get that sort of bright pop, but it starts to mute itself at the end and gives it a little bit of lo-fi sound to me. We do have our extra filter here. We haven't used this one yet, but this is just a basic bandpass filter. The idea is that it's to me, it's more like an EQ. You're basically using these kind of shelves on the end, left and right, to take off high end or scoop low ends out. And honestly, almost every time I'm using the low pass to just kind of clean up the low end to make more room for the kick drum and the bass. Cool, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and actually, oh, well, look at that, because I, again, just switched the machine. I didn't create a new track. My LFO settings from earlier are still there. Very subtle, but I like it. I'm good with it. All right. Let's mess with the clap, but I'm probably going to go ahead and put a different, I'll probably actually put the hi-hat over here in a second, but let's, no, maybe not. Let's leave it. We got 4, and we have our dedicated cymbal machine, so I don't necessarily need, I usually, when I write, I tend to give myself 4 machines, if possible, just to the drums, even on the modal cycles, for example, which only has 6 tracks. And then once I get happy with it, I start merging them in by using those sound locks. But I like to start with 4 tracks to really get my percussion stuff going. All right, I'm going to zero this all out all the way. Punches off, decay. We'll put the balance all the way there. Body down to 0. That's a 0. Let's get this right to the center, maybe. There we go. Okay, let's talk about, is this PC Carbon? No, this should be Clap. Didn't show up yet. CP Vintage. So we have tune. We know what that does. That's just going to set our, essentially our pitch. SPCR, spacing and crunch. So it says sets the spacing and decay time of the initial clap trigs. Crunch is faded in from a setting of 64 and up. Okay. So here's 0. And here basically you're getting a lot of gap between the multiple clap sounds that are happening. I guess you want a very poor timing clap, meaning you ask people to clap and they were not syncing up. But this tightens it a little bit. Yeah, so I don't think you're getting any tighter after 64. That's when you start engaging into crunch. I do wish, a lot of their machines allow secondary menus, meaning you can click this page one time and it goes to page 2, and then you have a subset of options. I would prefer, hopefully, because clearly they have the parameter capability in there, I would love if you could have these separated, because maybe I would like some crunch on some very poorly timed claps, Instead, I can only have them. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, but it's still a limitation, because if I go all the way to the right, I'm getting the most crunch, but it also has to be a very long, the stretched out clap. Okay, we're going to put a little punch here. We've got here. It should brighten the transient up. Yeah, that's nice. Let's do some massive decay. Sounds like a crash on an Atari 2600. I like that, but that's not what we want with the clap. That's a good decay there. Okay, balance. Let's see what this says. Balance sets the balance between noise and FM body. It's very similar to what they're doing on the snares too, but they call it something different. So here's all body. I'm sorry, that was all noise. Here's all body. So we can kind of find a happy medium right there around 64. That's nice. A little less body than noise, and I'm pretty happy. Okay, now we can... Okay, 49 is what we're setting. This is the balance, but I'm going to actually cruise it back up to body because I want to hear what we can do to the body with this parameter. It says body character sets the modulation ratio, modulation depth, and feedback for the clap FM body. So that's a lot going on here. Well, let's hear what we got. Again, probably would like those separated, but it's such a simplistic change in the sound. Like nothing crazy is happening. Kind of just sounds like a tone knob in a way. But I think I liked it on the darker side. I think we had 49 was the number we had here. So let's, with that setting, let me try again. So we're 18 on the body. Ooh, I actually think I like it a little bit in between that and the higher. Yeah, okay. Now you get body envelope, which should control the decay. Yep, sets the decay time of the clap. Okay. Cool. Minimal setting, I think, because you don't want too much body for me. I mean, body is essentially the smacking of the flesh together of your hands. A little overdrive, self-explanatory. That's decent. I'm going to probably bring the tune down just a little bit, maybe down 1. 2.5. Okay, ended up at 1.79. Cool, that's good. Hi-hats. Okay. I will say, if you followed anything I've done, you've noticed that I really spend a lot of time with the modal cycles. I love that little machine. Highly recommend it. But as with all things in the world, it has its shortcomings, and one of those things is the hats. I can find hats that I like, but I'd say it's 90% I avoid, with 10% is like kind of my sweet spot. So, you know, everybody's opinion is different, but I find that they're very difficult. This machine is better because you get more parameters, so I'm happy about that. But I don't think they're excellent hi-hats. I think they're good. And this could be a limitation of my ability to program them too, though. So, all right, let's bring the tune down just a hair. I just know I'm going to want that. Okay, let's go through the settings here. So we are at a... what is this engine called? It should be just hats, but it's probably something different. Oh, CY alloy. Okay. Cymbal alloy. So, it's the only cymbal machine they give you on the digital side, which I'm like, come on, guys. There's got to be more in there. But I will say, if you go on the forums, you'll definitely notice that people tend to believe, and I think they're kind of right, the Syntakt has been... I'm not going to say abandoned. I don't think it's been abandoned. I don't think Elektron abandons anything for a long period of time. But there's been very little love for it for a while. It's been very focused on their new products, which understandable. But this did come out. It got, I think, like 1 or 2 good updates. But then it just, you know, I'm hoping they do more. So, all right. So shimmer, we got, so tune, obviously we know what that does. Shimmer sets the tune offset of operator B. So there's a lot of FM stuff going on in the back end that unfortunately we don't really get to see directly. I'm going to go ahead and engage this, but with FM most times everything works together, so you might adjust this, but then you go and adjust another parameter and it changes the way this parameter sounds. So we'll go ahead and increase this to hear what we get. It's got a little difference going on here, but it's kind of sounds like that idea where it's getting less focused on the fundamentals, so we're not hearing as much of a pitch as I decrease it. But that's good for now. I'm going to lay off the punch, but I am going to increase the decay, because usually when I'm setting, especially on a single machine hi-hat, I want to really dial in the open hat, because the open hat is kind of where I'm going to hear most of that engine happening, and then honestly you just shorten the decay, or shorten the hold and all that kind of stuff to get it closed hat. So I want to hear what it sounds like when I want it to ring out. Not bad. So I'm actually gonna put the punch on, because I like how it punches the transient in. With it off, it sounds a little on the weak side. So we'll keep it on. Okay, radio. Radio sets the tune offset of operator A. Again. Oh wow, big difference there. I'm going to go into keyboard mode by holding function track. You can almost get away with making like a melodic sound with this. A lot of variation in here. Get out of that. Okay. Let's get that decay back. Okay, next we're going to mess with this mod. Sets the amount of modulation. Okay. All I can assume is this is one of the operators acting as the modulator, affecting the carrier of the other operator, and this has given us the depth of how much is being pushed into that carrier. That's actually really nice. I'm pretty psyched about how much I like that, because usually I was saying I'm not crazy about the hats on this, but maybe I didn't spend enough time messing about with it, because that's a pretty decent open hi-hat sound. A little overdrive to kind of beef it up. I am going to use the bass width filter here, the simple bandpass, if you want to call it that too, but bass width also helps too. So I'm going to take out some of that low frequency. I felt like when I engaged that overdrive, we got some nice richness to the harmonics, but it also beefed up the low end, and that kind of cleans it up for me. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of subtle LFO. I think for me, what I want to hear, I try to think about how a cymbal functions. And a cymbal functions by the first hit, it is vibrating. You know, it's, if you slowed it down with like a super slow-mo camera, you'd probably see that thing looking like it was melty. And then it kind of slows down and stops vibrating as much, and that's when you obviously get those darker muted tones, and it essentially stops doing whatever it's doing. Particular on hi-hats, you have two cymbals, so you got a little bit more interaction there. What I want to kind of do is imitate that real chaotic beginning and then have that kind of fade down. It's going to happen pretty quick, but we do have my favorite LFO parameter in the world, fade mixed with delay. Which, funny enough, this doesn't technically have delay, but the fade kind of gives you it in its own way, which is interesting. I've not really thought about it that way, so it's kind of funny. We do want something pretty high. I'm actually going to go up to 32 because I want, you can imagine these cymbals, they're sizzling. You know, they're like, so they're like doing something really fast. So we want a quick LFO right now. I don't mess with the speed too much until I start getting into the finer details, because leaving it there, I kind of have my baseline. I'm not going to go into that too much, but all right. So let's go to that modulation parameter, SYN modulation, and I'm going to go ahead and crank it. I'm going to actually take the fade off because I want to hear just what it sounds like without anything else happening. So, hey, that's pretty intense. Ooh. I went all the way up to 1K. So you're getting 1,000 revolutions of this LFO in a very small amount of time. Pretty cool. And that sounds pretty good. And I'm actually going to leave the depth that high. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fade it out. So you can see here. So I'm going to go back a little bit more so you can hear more of that. So it's definitely got a nice sizzle in the beginning, and I'm going to use more of the fade out so it happens quicker. Right there. I might fine-tune that a little more, but honestly, I'm good with it. The other thing I'm going to do is do what I did similar to the other snares, what I did with the other machine here. I'm going to mess with the decay, and I'm going to put this relatively small. Let's just start with 2, and I'm going to bring in that hold parameter for the LFO. I'm going to go all the way over to the right to get the random. I'm going to set this to 16. It's going to be kind of hard to hear. We maybe should have done this before so you could hear it better. But now that I have all that other modulation going on, all that noisy stuff, it's going to be a little bit harder to hear, but this is going to give us a slight bit of variation on the decay. So even if I have the hi-hats striking at the same velocity across the board, there's going to be a slight variation. So I'm going to actually increase it quite a bit so you can hear. So you can hear that's way too much. I mean, that would be a pretty awful drummer if they were playing with that much inconsistency. So let's try 4. I'm going to go actually to 3. I feel like I heard too much in there. Cool. That works. All right. So as I mentioned before, we're going to actually use this as a closed and open. So I'm going to give you a little example of that. So what if we did... So if I closed the first 4, let me see if I can get all these down. So you can hear we got our open and we got our closed, same track. And we got a nice little bit of variation going on there already. And we're not doing anything with velocity or velocity mod yet. So that's what I love about these kind of machines. If you really dig yourself into them and you start realizing all the different options you have, you can clear out a lot of your needs with other things before using up the other fun modulation features like velocity and velocity mod. That is a huge part of this, and we haven't even scratched it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4 more of these. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to take those away. I'll make 1. And I'm going to go to the trig menu and bring the velocity down to about 50. So now I'm going to copy those. And now we should get a fairly driving hi-hats with every other hit is going to be lower velocity. So it's going to be like a tick, 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 tick. Whoa, let's hear. Cool. So if you really want to get really wild, just for fun, I'm going to show you this. We haven't talked about much of the scale and the patterns and all that stuff. Right now I'm just using a single bar, 16 steps. And what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to hold function and yes. Now I've told the machine that each track on here can operate independently. Before what I had set, if I changed this track 2 to be 32 steps, all of the other tracks were going to match that. Now I've told it, hey, keep everything in its own lane. Everything will come back and restart together depending on my settings, but they're going to all basically be traveling at their own speeds if I set them that way. So with this one, you can see I have 16 steps here. If I take the 16 away, actually, I'm sorry, I got to hit 15. That takes it away. Now I'm only using 15 of 16 steps. And this is where we get something called polyrhythms. Highly, highly recommend playing with polyrhythms. Super fun. The idea here is that everything else is going to complete 16 steps, but this will start over after 15. And it's going to just keep doing that. So every single time that the other tracks who are on 16 steps go through a full progression, there's going to be 1 less on this one, meaning it's going to basically be running at a different speed, and it's going to start doing this, and then it'll match up again, and then it'll start doing it's just cool. I love polyrhythms. So let's hear what we get here. And you're going to notice, because with 1 step missing, that means the next time it comes around, the syncopation is going to be off. It's going to be different, because the first time it's going to be like ta 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 ta, but because it completes 1 step quicker than the others, the next time it's going to be like ta 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 ta. So let's hear. That's awesome. It's so subtle, you almost don't even notice it, but if you listen, it's slightly different every time. It's almost like it's like got a kind of a backswing on that second part, because the drummer essentially is shifting the way he's playing the open hi-hats. So I'm like hearing a rhythm in there that I feel like I can tease out more, but we're going to move on. Okay, so what do we got here? Okay, so now it's already been an hour. These always take longer than I assume. So let's move on to the synth engines. This is where it gets really fun. And we haven't even touched the analog yet, so we got plenty more to go. But I do love the digital synthesizer machines on here. They are really cool. They do have the basic ones that you're going to find in the motorcycles, more parameters, of course, but you've got a few extra ones that they added later that are really nice. Okay, this one, well, let's see here. We got bits, chord, tone, toy, swarm. Tone is probably the most versatile one, especially on the motorcycles, because it generates what's similar to a very basic synth sound. So it sounds like a nice saw-based, fat bass sound. You can just even hear what... So very nice, perfect for bass, just how it is. But of course, we don't want to just use the initial sound, because we can dive in and make some of our own. So we'll start with the tone. All right, let's get our trusty little manual here. So tune, we know what that does. Ratio sets the ratio between the operators. Again, background FM going on here. Punch, compressor like envelope. Decay, we know what that does. Feedback sets the amount of feedback. Okay, very simple. Again, this is in the realm of FM modulation. Modulation sets the amount of modulation. Modulation envelope sets the decay and depth of the modulation envelope. Okay, so that once we have our modulation, then we can actually use an envelope built into to tell how it goes into, I'm assuming we're using modulator, say operator B, we're setting how much of that is going into operator A, and then with the frequency, with the modulation envelope, we are determining how it behaves when it goes in there. So maybe it slowly rises into it, maybe it comes in and goes down real quick. We get those options. Overdrive, basic. So this is a very, very basic FM machine. So let's see what we can get out of it. So you get all those crazy sounds if you go lower. You get basically just sine waves there, which is the fundamental waveforms of FM. Then you get into fart land. Then you get a little bit of... That's probably where it was when we started. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to stick with the bass sound for this. You're almost always going to be in these lower settings. This is too wonky. I will say 0.5 and then solid numbers like 1, maybe 1.5. No, that's a little bit. You can hear how much cleaner they sound, and that's a fundamental part of FM2. When you have even divisible modulators and carriers, the sounds are going to be cleaner. You start getting into like point somethings, you get all that atonal goodness too. So we're going to go back to 0.5. All right. Punch, let's hear what it does. It takes away a lot of the punch to me because it kills that low end. It very much compresses it into a very even tone. So for bass, not for me. Let's take the decay all the way down. Well, interesting. It's kind of a decay and a release together. Interesting. Okay, we'll give a little bit there. Okay, feedback. This is the amount of the FM mix. So clean. Feedback, so what I should say to explain it. So when you're looking at an algorithm in an FM, you get these nice little box charts, and feedback essentially is saying it's taking one of the operators, one of the fundamental sound making elements of an FM voice, and it's feeding the what am I trying to say? Not the energy, but the sound, whatever's coming out of that modulator, that operator, it's feeding it back into itself. So then it's creating feedback, which is where you get this kind of nasty, distorted sound. So for me, you want a little bit in there. Yeah. Okay, let's mess with the modulation. Okay. I like where that's at, but I don't like how long the modulation lasts, so that's why we have this wonderful little envelope here. So here's with no. You can hear it's just gone. Nice. We're on track. So we got a little bit of transient going on, and we got a little bit, you can hear that kind of pop from the transient. Yeah. And we got a little bit of that modulation noise hanging out there. Let's try a little overdrive. With this one, it's not doing much more than boosting the volume, only because you're getting a lot of kind of grit from the FM engine already. Okay, now let's bring in our filter, and with this, same as I've talked about before, where I want that kind of bright hit in the beginning, but then I want it to mute out. Not as quickly as I would find on a cymbal, so to speak, but still the same kind of idea here. So let's actually turn the envelope off. Where am I at? Okay, that's where I want it to end. This is where I want the envelope to finish and where the cutoff will be at the end of that envelope. So now you can see we have a reasonable amount of decay. Let's go ahead and see what it sounds like when we start adding that envelope. So I might shorten this decay. Bring up the sustain a little bit. Let's do a little bit of resonance. We're losing something there, though. Just a little bit. That's not bad. Another thing I do like to do with my bass sounds, I'm going to go ahead and kick this over to ADSR. Oh, it was already there. A lot of times, especially with anything that's got a lot of energy, like a bass, I want it to be known it's there in the beginning, but I don't want it to hang out too long. Even if it's like a long, drawn-out bass sound, I personally like it where it comes in, announces itself, and then kind of fades a little bit to the background and kind of holds the meat of the song together. So what I like to do is I like to bring the decay back and the sustain down. So we're at 127. This means it's basically coming up and it's just hanging. You see it's basically staying at the same volume the whole time. I'm going to bring the sustain down to 100. Now let's see if we can hear the difference. Very subtle. Bring the decay back. Bring the sustain down to 90. I'm going to go extreme just so you can really hear what's going on. So you hear how much it comes down. If I increase the decay time, we get more of that energy in the beginning, and then it still fades down to a quieter level. I actually like that. And so it can hang there, and you can let it hang out, but it's not eating up so much space in that song. Just in the beginning. Cool, that works. I'm not going to do any LFOs on the bass. I'm actually pretty happy with it. We might mess around a little more later, but I'm good with that. I think that's all right for bass line. I might beef it up a little bit more once we get things rolling, but anyway. All right, let's do a new machine. This one is, well, let's do the chord machine. You know what? No, I'm sorry. I want to save that because that always comes in later. Let's do bits. All right, let me find bits on here. Okay, so we've got our standard 8 parameters. Let's see what we got. Tune, we know what that does. Detune, oscillator 2 detune, sets the tuning of oscillator 2 relative to oscillator 1. So that's nice. Balance, this is between, so we've got two oscillators working here together. This balance sets the level of the oscillators and the noise. At value 0, it produces only noise. From 1 to 64, oscillator 1 fades in. Between 64 and 127, the second oscillator fades in and noise is faded out. Okay, so that means if we want everything working together, we're going to be somewhere, I think, around 96, I'm assuming. Because then you're getting half of 2, half of, yeah, so that's kind of the closest. So it's interesting. Again, wish we had control over these individually, but that's not the style here. So let's talk about waves. Sets the waveform of the oscillators. It looks like we get only one to set. Okay, so I guess both oscillators have to be the same. It would be nice to separate those two, but whatever. Sample rate reduction. I love this parameter. I use it all the time on my Digitac, which has it on the filter, and it's very, very handy. But this sets the amount of sample rate reduction. If you're not familiar with sample rate, basically you're reducing the quality of the sound, if you will. Today, most things are 24 and 32-bit. You go back in the day, you can go, I mean, I've got a, what is it, the TI-83 calculator, science calculator, that you can run a sequencer on it. I need to bust it out and get all that working again. It's 1-bit sample rate, so it's just noise. This is ridiculous, but it's hilarious. Okay. BR bit reduction. So very similar to, I'm sorry, sample rate and bit, they're kind of different. So I apologize. I should have said bit reduction, what I was talking about earlier. Sample rate is like when you sample something at 48 kilohertz or 44.1 or 96. Same kind of concept, though. You're reducing the overall quality of the sound. And then overdrive, we know what that does. Okay. Okay, so we got lots of noise going on right now. Let's try to find... Oh, wow. No wonder why it's sitting up here already. Yeah, 96. That's where it was by default. I'm getting a little bit of everything. Let's take this... Let's just go ahead and... Oh, wait, this would only give us... Fades in. 267 fades in. Okay, so... This is both oscillator 1 and 2. I'm assuming that they're full value. Let's detune a little bit. Let's get right to the center. Just a little bit in there. Goes a long way. I'm going to have just a hair bit of noise by backing this balance knob off to about 121. Come on, there we go. Oop. Ah, there we go. Decay. That's okay for where it is now. All right, let's mess with the waves. Let's go all the way back to sine. Oh, that's kind of nice. Just too much noise. Just a little bit. Okay, we're coming right into our triangle. Morphing that to a saw. Morphs to a square. And get your pulse width modulation of that square. Cool. I am very partial to a saw wave. Just has the best harmonic value to me. So we're going to keep that. Okay, here comes the sample rate and the bit rate. So bit rate is okay. Wow, actually, it's vastly more effective than what I'm used to on the RYTM. Okay, I take that back. I like that. Okay. I'm going to bring it back. That was at around 2, so we'll go back there, but I want you to hear the sample rate reduction. I love the sample rate reduction on electron machines. Just instant grit, lo-fi. Alright, I'm going to bring this back to 0, bring this to 2, and then we're going to figure out how much of the sample rate we should bring in, because I do like how that sounds. Okay, sample rate. Almost sounds like a very crummy pinball machine, like the speaker's bad or something. Ooh, I like that. Okay, well, I'm happy with that sound, but now let's bring in some filter, see what we get out of this. I'm going to try something I don't normally do, which I am going to actually bring the cutoff down, but then I am going to reverse, do a negative amount of envelope depth, and you can hear how it comes up. Kind of basically sounds similar to messing with the attack stage on the amp. Let's just do just a little bit. I'll bring up the resonance. So -5 is where I'm at right now. It's very subtle. Let's see if I go the other way. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay. So what we're doing here now, like before, is we're basically starting bright, and we're then bringing the filter cutoff down as the sound goes through. Kind of darkens it off for us a little bit. Very good feature, in my opinion, when you're doing arpeggios and such. Cool. All right. We're going to go ahead and skip the amp stage because I'm happy with where it is right now. I'll maybe just do a little bit of what I did before, where I bring a little decay back, sustain down just a little bit. We're kind of already accomplishing that with the filter envelope, but it's nice to have that amp in there. I'm going to put a little reverb on this too, just to hear what it sounds like. That's nice, but I'm going to do a little bit less. We have not messed with the delay yet. Let's try a little bit of delay. Yeah, but we're going to have to mess with that delay. Maybe not yet, because I want to go through it, but we're not there yet. So, okay, a little bit of LFO messing up here. Let's cause this waveform. No. I'm sorry, I forgot we have a detune on here. Where's my detune? It's interesting how this one, is this LFO2? Yeah, okay, that's why. LFO2 allows you to modulate LFO1. Doesn't go the other way. So that's pretty nice. So if you want LFO1 doing something, but you want that itself to change a little bit on top of the change that LFO1's already committed to, you can do that, which is pretty nice. So maybe we should try it, because I'm thinking just a little detune here. Just a tiny bit. I'm going to go about 1.5 if I can get there. Close enough, 1.49. We are going to keep I'm actually going to back it down to BPM 1. I want this to be slow, and I'm actually going to mess with the speed for the first time and bring that down to about, say, 25. I want it to be free, so it's doing what it's doing. And honestly, for these types of sounds, you would think a sine wave would be the best. For me personally, I kind of like a good triangle. Where is it? There it is. Because a sine wave, you can kind of see how it happens. It kind of sticks into those. It hangs out in the extreme settings. So if it's climbing all the way to, say, 127, you know, it's going to hang up there as it kind of does this like short little arch and come down. A triangle, it's going up and it's going down. It's very linear. I like that, how that sounds when I'm doing something that's kind of a slow, kind of fading stuff, because it never really gets stuck anywhere for too long. Ooh, wow. Just that little bit of detune was too much. I'm going to back it down to about 0.5. Wow, it's so much. You know what it is because I already have some, you know what, let's go back to here and we'll go ahead and just set the detune to off. So now we're basically getting that little bit of detune. Increase the speed, double it actually. I kind of like that. I'm surprised how little detune is causing such amount there. That doesn't make sense to me. Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess maybe I'll even go a little less. Maybe I'll try 0.17. Cool. All right. I wanted to use LFO2 to mess with LFO1, but it's already changing so much. I don't think I'd have to just, you know, use a slight little bit, and that just seems kind of a waste in LFO. So let's come over to, wait, do I have it on the right setting? Yeah, detune. Okay. It sounded like almost it was messing with the balance. How about, we did mess with the filter a little bit, so why don't we do a nice little slow kind of like ocean wave kind of thing going on with the cutoff. So I'm going to set this to 2, start there. We got a depth of 3.35. I'm going to stick with the triangle. Cool. Let's bring this down a little bit. Increase the release. I like it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and save all this real quick before we move on anywhere. That's just a temporary save, but at least we're going to go ahead and do the full save. Okay, well, we got our main drum sounds, got a bass, and a very funky lead. Let's mess with the chords. Okay, this might be a two-parter eventually because I'm already pretty far into it time-wise, and I haven't gotten even close to half the machines yet, so. All right, so we did tone and we did bits. Now we're going to mess with chords. This is a cool thing, and this is pulled directly from the modal cycles. Like I said before, though, everything has a few more options, especially when you get into like filter and amp stages. You don't get any of that on the modal cycles. But you effectively get a very similar engine in terms of the machine parameters, like just the synthesizer page parameters. So tune, we know what that is. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this guy for anything that can't give you a specific easy explanation for. So wave sweep sweeps through the wavetable. So the entire, basically you get like 128 different waves in this, but they're all very slight variations. And honestly, I'm only guessing at that because it could be like maybe less than that, and the wavetable itself is achieving slight different sounds as you move between them. But the idea here is however many waves you get in this, you can kind of move through them subtly or drastically, and that's what they call wavetable synthesis, which is really awesome. If you've never had a wave state, or what was the old one? It was called the wave station. Korg basically nailed wave table synthesis, in my opinion. In the Korg wave state, the newer version, MK2, mwah, chef's kiss. It is so good. But the concept is that say you have a sine wave and a square wave. You can either go between them, just like sine, square, or you can kind of mix and kind of blend between them. And then you can get more complicated wavetables, which might have like 5. For example, my Novation Summit, they released an update where you could put 5 different hand-drawn waveforms, whatever you wanted to do, and they will kind of move between them, and you can modulate that. And so it opens up a whole lot of sonic possibility. So effectively, you're getting something similar here. But what's really special about the chord machine is its capacity to effectively be polyphonic, and that's sort of loose term here. Maybe polyphonic's not the right word. It actually means it can play chords. It can basically play the notes of a chord, meaning you're going to get up to 4 separate notes. And with this type and balance here, you can kind of mix between them. So, for example, we could set, it's on minor right now. We don't have to just do A minor. We could mess around and do a minor 7, or we could do a diminished 7, or we could do a minor add 9. So you get all these variations of a minor, obviously other chords too, majors, suspended, sustained, suspended, diminished, and then you get some real jazzy chords. To be perfectly honest with you, I can imagine most people aren't using most of the chords in here because there are some wonky ass sounding chords in here. Like if you're writing some cool jazz or some experimental stuff on here, you might pull some here and there. Most people probably, myself definitely included, are sticking to something like minor, minor 7, maybe a minor add 9, and then of course the major versions, major 7, major add 9, some suspended chords to, offer some suspension kind of feelings and sounds. So yes, anyway, let's talk about the specific parameters though. So decay sets the length of decay phase of the machine's internal amp envelope. Okay, punch, same thing it always does. Type sets the unison mode and selects chord. So you don't only just get chord settings, you can actually set it to a unison. And I believe you get 2, 3, and 4. So that's nice. If you want a cool big old lead, like kind of similar to a supersaw, you can find it by using these guys. But we're going to go back to minor. Actually, I'm going to go to minor 7. And then the next thing is balance. Sets the interval, mix, and chord balance. If type is set to unison, balance sets the amount of detune. So if we're engaging the unison versions, this knob sets the detune. Pretty simple. If we're not, we basically get into what's called inversions. If you're not a music theory guy, girl, whatever, this can be more just like you play it by ear and you just kind of like it. That's cool. If not, if you are music theory oriented, then you're going to definitely enjoy exploring this because you can start basically moving. Inversion, the idea is that you have a root note, right? So say you have C. C is represented by C, E, G. That's the first, the third, and the fifth. Those are the fundamentals of a tritone, a chord, not tritone, a chord, which needs 3 notes. When you start messing with inversions, you can basically take those 3 notes, C, E, and G, and mix them around. So normally in a first inversion, would you call it a first inversion? I guess so. The fundamental chord is going to be C, E, G. C is the chord. You would call it a C chord, so it sits the lowest. Now, if you want to invert it, you could say move the E down an octave. So now you're actually playing the third, the first, and the fifth. That is called a first inversion. Then you do a second inversion, and that's where you move the fifth, the highest note, to the bottom. And you can mix and match and do all sorts of things here. So you could be playing what's considered a C chord, but the C could be the highest pitch in the entire sound, which won't really present itself in your ears as a C chord as much as if the C was the fundamental, the bottom note. So anyway, by choosing this, you can see it's kind of confusing. I wonder if they really explain it. They do not. But I'm sure somebody's done a good job. But basically, you can see these little, they almost look like the ghosts from Pac-Man. They're like disappearing. So let's hear what it sounds like first of all. That's with all 4. So I'm doing I'm assuming it's C. Let's just call it a C minor. So we're at C, E flat, G, and then you're getting your 7th in there, which is going to be a B flat. So if we're watching this, so that's C, E flat, G. You know, I'm going to go to major so it's a little easier. Where's my major? Okay, so C, E, G, B flat. That is my major dominant chord. No, that's a major 7 chord. Wait, is it? No. There it is. Okay, yeah, that is a dominant. Okay, C, E, G, B flat. So by doing this, you're going to see these guys tuck out. So right there, now we just have C, G, and B flat. So we just lost a note, that's all. But if I keep going, it does this face. And I'm assuming, see, it sounds to me like it's raised it way up higher. So there probably is a name for this type of inversion, but since the root note is still the root note, C, I don't really know what to call it. If you do it again, now you've set, so basically it's C, that's where it gets a little confusing. It's technically C up to B flat, and then up to E, and then up to G, because you've moved these up an octave higher. So now these little 2, I don't know what they are, flaming balls, are sitting higher than the 2 ghosty looking guys. It's confusing. But now we do it again. Now everything, you got your C fundamental, and then everything, the E, the G, and the B flat have now moved up a whole octave. So you can hear there's a big wide berth between the C and those higher notes. But now if we go even further, sorry, that's as far as we go. If we go to the left, same deal. We start minus them. So now we're really just playing a major chord. I'm assuming this is now, because they're calling it inversion 3, so we basically took, which is accurate, so that means we took the B flat and we dropped it down an octave, so it's technically the first or lowest note playing. We do that with the G now. So G is the lowest, E is the lowest, and then we revert. So this gives us an option to basically just sync one of those at a time. So you can see here, we now, if you were looking this on a keyboard, you would start with the, I believe the E, right? Or is it the G? No, the G. So the G would be lowest, then there would come E, then C, then B flat. Now we lose G, we bring that back up, so now E is the only one that's below C, everything else is normal. And then we're back to our root. We go this way, and then we just start minusing them. So 30 something, what, 30, right there, about, was it 32? Yeah, 32 is our standard sound. So that can be really, really fun, but it can be really complex, and you're going to spend a lot of time, if you have a chord pattern in your mind and you want it to sound a perfect way, you're going to be working on this, because you have to think, this sets per note, right? Per chord, whatever you're playing. So say, for example, you're playing the key of C, and you want to go 1, 3, 5, and I'm talking chord patterns, not notes. So your first chord is going to be a C major, your second one's going to be an E minor, and then your fifth is going to be a G, and if you wanted to have all four, it'd be a G dominant chord, meaning you'd have a dominant 7. So if you were playing that way, you have to then go and program each chord to its note, and then each chord to its particular value of being a minor, major, minor 7, all that stuff. And then you can go and mess with the inversions. So it's complicated. It's very complicated. To be honest with you, not having this visual representation on the modal cycles means you kind of have to do it all by ear. I mean, you get an idea what's happening, but it almost frees you up in a way, in my opinion, because then I'm just basically like, I'm going off simple music theory ideas and just using my ear to see what sounds good. But it can be frustrating when you get something and it's almost there and you're like, what do I need? What chord do I need to finish this? You really got to test and play around with it. It helps immensely having this visual representation. So I'm actually going to back this down to a minor, just a regular minor chord, and I'm going to actually bring, let's see if I can do it real quick. I want just the G. Can I do it just the G? No. It'll bring both the G. Although it's giving me 4, which is interesting because I guess that would be the C octave instead of the B flat that's represented as the 4th note. So this works. Nice dark minor chord. Okay, we haven't even messed with anything else really, so that just kind of gets us into the idea of how to develop the chord. Let's go through the wave tables here. So. It sounds like almost every 5 steps we're changing to a new wave in the wave table. Like not each one's not its own wave. I feel like those 5 steps are how we're blending between the two. Oh, that's nice. A little too harsh. So once I find where I like, I'm gonna dip down a little bit. Make sure I'm gonna find, okay, let's go here, and I'm gonna skip a bunch of stuff because I want to come over to the LFO page and I want to assign the first LFO to the waveform. So now we're going to create some wavetable synthesis by having the LFO push us through those waves, those wave blending, those waveform blending parameters or whatever. I like it a little slow, but not too slow. So we'll start with 4, do a depth of 4 because what I just messed around with, I found a happy area around 80 and I want it to dip down to 76. I want to come through 80 and go back to 84 and kind of just hover between there. So I have depth of 4. I've got a slow-ish LFO, have it properly assigned. We're going to stick to free because I want it to just kind of do its own thing, and we have a triangle. So too fast. I'm going to bring the depth down just a little bit to 3, so we're not going as far. Well, that's actually kind of good. I'm going to slow it down a little bit more. Yeah. All right. And what I like too is it's set because we did a free LFO. It's going to change. What I could do, this is what I like, but I'm going to just do something for fun. I'm going to come over here and set it to hold, and I'll go all the way over to that. Random. Listen to this. So it's basically going between a relatively small amount of wavetable variation, but it's hitting those randomly. I'm actually going to keep this because I think I have got an idea here. Watch this. Let's see what this sounds like. Let's take this off. And we're going to increase I'm just going to crank out a sound here that I'm feeling. So I'm going to bring the frequency down, but I do want that to pop a little bit. See what it sounds like with all the drum sounds. Get it over here a little bit, add some reverb. A little delay. I'm going to come over to the delay and do something real quick. We haven't messed with the delay yet, but I'm going to show some cool features here. So I'm actually going to increase the time to 1/4. Let's see. Yeah. But I'm going to do something really special, and I'm going to engage what's called the ping pong. So X, or to the left is off, right is on. This is basically the idea is it's going to ping pong back and forth. Right now, the width is set to 0, so it's not going to do, sounds exactly the same. But if I increase the width, it should start ping ponging farther in the left and right. You're kind of going all over the place there. Part of the issue though is I panned it to the left or to the right a little bit, so I'm going to bring it back to the center because I kind of want that evenly pinging across. Set the delay to actually go into the reverb. High pass it a little bit. Yeah. Back here and increase the delay a little bit. I'm going to actually beef up the time a little bit. Okay. I'm going to actually mess a bit more with this sound, and I'm actually going to smooth it out a bit by taking some of the attack off. Brought the filter cutoff back up to where it was, but I did increase the resonance to kind of give it a little bit of brightness to it. Now I'm going to bring in the second filter. I'm going to clean up a lot of that low end. It sounds way too much on that, so I'm going to take like half of it to start off with. I'm going to go really. Now, I'm getting some ping pong from the delay, but it's not enough for me, so I'm actually going to come over here to the second LFO, all the way down to the pan parameter under amp, and I'm going to do the similar thing for now. And this should be kind of interesting, because now we're going to have two elements of this kind of panning all over the place. We're going to have the bass sound and then the delay as well. So I'm going to actually go, let's go about 30, 33, that works. We are going to do, start with random. I'm not sure that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to do the hold on this guy. And that means once, you know, like we talked about before, it's going to hit it and it's going to stay wherever the sample and hold parameter, whatever parameter it's sent, that's where it's going to stay for that sound, for that one trig. But then it might happen over here next time. But it's not going to be like moving constantly even while the sound itself is still sounding. It's going to only do the sound once and hold it in that position. All right, let's see what we got. Cool. I'm going to save this real quick because I'm going to mess with this. This is a very cool feature of Elektron. You save by hitting function yes here on the Syntakt, and you can see it says pattern save to temp area. So what happens if I just go over here and just start messing everything up and being like, oh, I don't like that. Function no to reload the pattern. You're back to where you were. So it gives you the opportunity to really mess things up, but then bring it back to where you were. Nope. Ooh. See, happy accident right here. I'm doing a suspended 4-chord instead of that minor, and let's hear what this sounds like. It's kind of nice. I like it. I'm going to overwrite that. Let's save. So now I lost what it was before. This is the new saved temporary pattern, so I'm going to mess with this inversions a little bit. Wish I had one more LFO. I would love to assign it to this balance knob. But we can do one other thing. 940. Man, I did not get nearly as far as I hoped. But it's not about using all the machines, honestly. It's more about showing what this machine's capable of. And of course, we'll do another volume 3 with the Syntakt and go maybe over to the other machines. So one thing I'm going to do here real quick, I'm going to add the rest of these in here. Right? But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring these down in velocity. Down to, like, let's say 65. Copy this, paste it there. So we'll see how this goes. But what I've just done there is basically, if I hold down 1, you can see it's at all regular velocity. Hold down 2, it's been P-locked, parameter locked, down lower. And that's every other one is like that. So what we get to do now is we go to function, and I believe it is under sound. Is it in here? Yes. Then you go to, you know what, first, sorry, before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and save this pattern to the temporary. Actually, go ahead and save it to the final here. So now it's completely saved. I could turn the machine off, boot a different project, come back, and it's going to sound just like that. So function, and then to this 3 dots, which is like the song mode thing, go to sound. Excuse me. Brings you into this submenu. Highlight setup, very first option. Click yes. Then we get some extra parameters. We have filter key track. This is the idea. Well, I'm not going to go through all this stuff because I feel like I waste a lot of time, and I'm sure a lot of people turn away because of that. But a lot of cool options here to explore. The one I'm really looking for here is velocity mod. Just to show you, you have multiple modulations here. So if you have a breath controller, or you have something that's sending the CC value for a breath controller, you can use that to modulate 4 parameters. You can do it with aftertouch. You can do it with the modulation wheel. And we can do it with velocity. So now you can see it actually is going to show you. It's referencing each one of these, and it's telling you, okay, you're at 100 on this step, you're at 65, 100, 65. So it's telling you right there what the step the velocity for each step is, which is really cool. And the idea here is you can come in and select 4 different parameters, basically the same options you get in, but you do get LFO 1 and 2, so you can modulate those both, which is pretty great. You get, so basically all of the options you get from LFO 1 and LFO 2, plus an additional set of options, but you can select all these different destinations. Let's go ahead and try, what did I want to do? I wanted to do, why am I not seeing it here? Overdrive, filter envelope, waveform. It's the balance. Oh no, are they not giving it? No, tone. Oh, right there, chord oscillator balance. Okay. So we have that set, and now I'm going to increase it, say, by 5. Let's see what we get now. I'm going to go really wild. Very cool. So we're getting some drastic differences between these steps only because of the velocity causing the change. So let's do another thing. Let's try the filter. If we come down here to, that's the wrong filter. Go back a little bit. Frequency. I'm going to do a negative because I don't want it to get brighter. I want it to get darker. Let's see what we got. That's pretty cool. So I got a quick idea I want to do. We're going to stick with this right now, but I'm hearing something. Get all the way out of there. Okay. Right now we've been only working with 1 bar. So I'm going to increase this up to 4 bars. Because I did it the first time, that's a kind of a nice feature. The first time you do this, whether you increase 1 or 2 bars or all the way up to 4, it copies the bar over. So you can see it's basically going to play next bar. Oh, not yet. Sorry, because I did not set the master length. Right now it's telling every track the master length to reset after 1 bar. We're going to go to 64. So we should see, oops, we should see this, these lights go through per bar. So now we're over here, now we're at the next one, now we're at the last one. Okay. What I'm hearing is a tone change. Let's go from C down to B flat or A sharp. You don't get, you just get sharps in this, just so you know. So just got to remember, if you want B flat, it's the same thing as A sharp. You want G flat, same thing as F sharp. So, okay, I just brought it down. We might need to change the chord. I'm playing by ear because I don't know what I'm doing just yet. But right now we have a suspended 4 C, and then we're going down to suspended B flat. So let's hear. Oh, I only got this one. So here's another nice little shortcut. These two are the same. This is the 1 bar I changed. I did not change the 4th bar yet, so it's reverting back to what it was before, which was the C chord. But if I go back to 3, hold down page, hit copy, and I can come over, click this again, and then paste it. Now I've pasted bar 4 onto bar 3. Bar 3 onto bar 4, sorry. So let's see what we got. That's pretty. I'm gonna crank up overdrive. There we go. Nice. That is just too much. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to do the opposite of what I think I said earlier. I'm going to bring the decay down, and we'll treat the standard sound of the hi-hats as a closed. And then we can just open it up. Where is that? Oh, I got it. That's right. I got the off note here. I'm going to actually open this one up right here. It's not getting enough time. So I'm going to actually take this out. So maybe we should take a couple more out. I'm going to retrig this actually. There we go. Pan that over, bring hi-hats even farther down. As much as I like the randomness, I think unfortunately it's kind of clashing with the prettiness of the... And I might change that a little bit more later, but it sounds alright. See what we got from the other sounds. This guy. All right, let's just add a little line. Something like that. Let's see. Doesn't work for this. Let's bring in. Oh, so much low end. I'm gonna have to crush some of it a little bit. Which is surprising to do on the bass, but sometimes you have to. No, we'll leave that there. I'm officially lost in making this song now. Okay, nice beefy bass. Let's see. Okay, I got the pattern, but I'm not happy with the bass sound yet. But let's go ahead and record that. Simple. Quantize that. You can see all those right there off the bat. That one's off. I'm gonna go a little early on that. Cool. As it happens, you know, you start making some sounds and they lead into a song, and that's pretty fun, man. I gotta say, I really love this guy. And honestly, it's my favorite wintertime synth because it gets so nice and toasty. It's not hot, it's not burning me, but I get cold fingers, and man, this thing is just, it's got a built-in hand warmer to it, and I love it. All right, well, you know what? It's almost 10 o'clock. I'm still not getting many viewers, unfortunately. So I'm trying to figure out what people want. You know, I'm trying to improve things. I felt like maybe less talking, more synth. I did still talk a decent amount, but I feel like I got into it a little bit earlier. This is definitely not a brand new shiny machine. I think it came out, what, like 4 or 5 years ago? 4 years ago? And, you know, everybody wants the new shiny stuff. So maybe I'll start focusing more on doing more modern machines. I do stay up to date with buying new synthesizers to some degree, so maybe I'll have to focus on those because I definitely get better numbers when it's something new. But I was hoping that this would be more of like a fun communal space where we could talk about synths and stuff, but maybe that's not what people want from me. So I'm going to try a few things. I do love making sounds on all of my synthesizers, so it'll be hard to pass over some because of their age. But I think I'll try. Maybe I just need to build up an audience who gives me, you know, who's interested enough in what I do that might stick around when it's maybe not exactly the synth they want to hear. But anyways, blah, blah, blah. If you do watch this video afterwards, thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, please like and subscribe. That would really help me out. And let me know. Send me a comment. Let me know what you want to see on these, or let me know if you want something different. You know, right now I've only got time really to dedicate one night to streaming. And I want to figure out how to make it work. I want to figure out how to build it because I would like to do this more often, but I can't, you know, I'm getting no views, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep going farther. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to be here every Tuesday because I love doing it. But I can't increase, you know, I can't build and grow if it's not growing. So if you are watching this, please let me know. Drop me a line. Say, hey man, shut up. Just play the synths or talk more, you know, if you want to hear my voice. Or focus on newer stuff or whatever. Just give me an idea. I want to hear what you think. I might not follow it because maybe your idea is different than everybody else's who's also responded, or maybe I don't want to do that. But nonetheless, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. And thank you so much for watching this later. And yeah, the Elektron Syntakt. Pretty awesome. Thanks. Take care.